Hey everyone, we are heading into the weekend again. It is Friday today and I'm going to be starting a new vlog. I am planning a staycation. Hubby and I have been together for almost 20 years now and we've been married for almost 10 years. And we have never ever done a staycation. I've had time off work before where I stay in the city. That's usually the time between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. But usually my husband is working during that time and it's also really cold during that time, so we don't really go out much. Instead, I take that time to do housework and all of that. But we have never both taken vacation at the same time and just stayed in the city. This is going to be a first for us and I am actually quite excited. Both of us are. We were kind of listing off things that we wanted to do during this time. It's going to be the week in August where Simcoe Day falls or where the civic holiday falls, so we have a long weekend and then hubby is taking 4 days off work. That's the week that our anniversary falls into, so if we like it, I'm thinking maybe this will be an annual occurrence. I think that'll be really good. It's kind of like the best of both worlds because I love being in Toronto when the weather's hot. We have such a short summer and we have such a long winter, at least it feels that way, that I'm really excited to actually spend some quality time in the city with hubby. It's also great because we can stay in our condo and be with Lulu and Truffle at night, and we can also kind of like venture out of our comfort zone in terms of like normal places we typically gravitate towards, and maybe check out some parts of the city that we wouldn't think of checking out on a regular day-to-day basis. We're not going to be renting a car because we don't want to be stuck in traffic and hubby doesn't love to drive. So we are just going to be taking the TTC or any sort of transit to get to where we need to be going. Of course, that places a little bit of limitation, but there is so much to do in the city that I don't think we're going to run out of things that we want to do. That being said, hubby and I did book a flight away. I've talked about budgeting enough for a trip this year and also about wanting to go away potentially in the fall. We are going to Japan again. So hubby saw a flight deal and he sent it to me, and the first flight deal we were able to resist because it was Toronto to Tokyo. It was around $680 and it was a great deal. But we love Osaka, so the train ride to Osaka, or even if I added the flight, it would have been like a couple $100s more, and we were thinking maybe we wanted to try something different. But the flight deal came up again, and this time it was Toronto to Tokyo or Osaka for $680, and that was just an incredible deal that we couldn't pass up. Flying into and out of Osaka means we don't have to buy a rail pass because we can just do short haul trips that are close to Osaka. It felt right, and I tend to follow my gut instinct when I'm booking trips, so I can't really say why I pass on certain trips and why I book others, but it's very almost like instinctual. So we're going back to Japan in the late fall. We've been to Japan in November and we really loved it, so we're gonna go at around that same time again. It's just a lovely time to be in the Osaka area because of the fall colors, and they're starting to put Christmas decorations and things like that up. It's just a very nice and festive time. The air is nice and cool, very crisp. We really only plan to travel once a year going forward. Maybe that will change in the future if I start working again and I feel like I need a bit more of a break. But we haven't traveled in quite a while and I've been feeling pretty good about it. I don't feel stressed. Even this trip, I was like, you know what, I could take it or leave it. But I think hubby does want to go away because of course he's still working, and although he does like his job and he doesn't need as many vacations, he doesn't need them as frequently as I did when I was working full-time and I needed to travel, or I felt like I needed to travel every quarter just to keep my sanity. I was just so stressed. In the past, when we've gone to Japan, we've tried to fit a lot into the itinerary, so we would spend like a lot of time kind of on trains and stuff trying to hit like all these different cities and all these different attractions. But this time around, we're taking it really easy. We're mainly staying in Osaka. We may do some day trips here and there and see some things we haven't seen before, but otherwise we're really just planning to hang out and have food and look around and do stuff like that in the city. We also have 2 nights that are booked on Naoshima Island, and this is a modern art island that I am super duper excited about. This is going to be our splurge hotel. We're staying at the Benesse house, and it's kind of like a museum slash hotel. The rest of the time that we're in Osaka, we're staying at relatively budget-friendly hotels. We could have gotten cheaper, but we could have gone more expensive, kind of like middle of the road for us, and we're pretty comfortable with that. So right now in terms of budget, I've spent about half our budget on the hotel and the flights, but we're not buying a rail pass. We are going to be taking the train, but no like long haul trips. So we're just going to be paying kind of like a la carte. And then everything else is food, but we don't really plan to do any like fancy restaurants. We mainly want to go just to have udon, ramen, Japanese curry. Maybe I'll try to find that tempura restaurant again, assuming it's still open. And of course we want to go for Kobe beef in Kobe. We want to have like little street foods and things of that nature. So no like fancy Michelin starred restaurants this time around. Maybe if we find something that really stands out. So that is kind of like the travel update, but mainly right now I am super focused and very excited on the staycation. I just came back from the Harbourfront. I didn't really plan to go there. I kind of just like wandered and made my way there. And my friend had told me about this exhibit that's happening now called the Museum of Broken Relationships. There's an object and then an interesting story behind it. So I spent quite a bit of time there just reading about the different objects that people had donated to the museum, and it was really interesting. And then I just sat outside for a bit. I read part of my book. I'm reading Atomic Habits right now and I love it. It is so practical. The advice is I think on point, and a lot of things in the book are making me think about my own habits and how to implement good habits. Hey everyone, and happy Saturday. It is time to taste the kombucha. We also got one of these Beyond Meat breakfast sandwiches from Tim Hortons, and we're gonna split this and give it a try and also polish off some leftovers. I made this recipe from pressurecookrecipes.com. It's called Instant Pot Chicken and Rice. I've made it twice now and it is delicious. We just have a little bit left, so we're gonna try to finish that off today. But before we eat our breakfast, we're going to taste the kombucha. So here is the SCOBY hotel that I made last time. All of the SCOBYs are in here except for the two that I used to make a couple batches of kombucha. As you can see from the top, it is growing more. This is very active and healthy. I'm gonna leave this as is for a little while longer. I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. I'll do some close-up but not so close-up shots as well, because I know a few of you guys were grossed out by it, and hubby is extremely grossed out by it as well. The kombucha that I made seems to be doing okay. I can't really tell what's happening up top, but I think we're ready to taste it. So let's take off the elastic and see how it goes. Let's open up Penelope and see how she's doing. Oh, she did grow some on top. Oh, it looks so good. I don't see any mold or fuzzy patches, so I think this is good to go. What I'm gonna do is taste it, and then I'm gonna do a second fermentation in this jar. This is an airtight jar. I've cut up some ginger and put that inside. I'm gonna see how sweet this is. I may add some honey as well. And the second fermentation is supposed to infuse the kombucha with flavor as well as increase the carbonation because it'll be airtight as opposed to this coffee filter on top. I'm gonna put a little bit of Penelope's kombucha into the shot glass and then taste it. I'm gonna do the same with Gus, and I'm probably just gonna mix the two into here because I don't have another jar. I also want to start another batch of kombucha today just to keep this going and not have it like dry out or not have to put the SCOBYs back into the hotel. I'm gonna keep fermenting with these SCOBYs here. So let's get our sample out. I don't think we need too much, maybe like this much. And we'll see if hubby wants to taste some. Oh, it smells good. So let's see how Gus is doing. All right. Oh, this smells good too. Oh, I'm hungry. They both smell really good. They smell just like kombucha. We're ready to try the science experiment. Just a little taste. It smells good. Mm-hmm. So, this is Penelope. Oh, it tastes good.
Is it fizzy?
Not yet, because I have to put it in here for it to get fizzy.
It's okay.
I could drink it just like this, I think, but oh, should I infuse it? No, I cut up all the ginger already. I guess I'll infuse it.
Why don't you go half?
Let's try this one first. This one's Gus.
What's the difference?
They're two different Scobies.
They have a different property?
Tastes kind of different.
It does.
Mm-hmm. I think I like Penelope better.
It's the same to me.
I don't think it needs more honey, actually, so I'm not going to add any more sweetness, right? It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's still pretty sweet because we didn't ferment it for that long. We only fermented it for kind of like the minimum amount of time, which is like 7 or 8 days. I'm not going to add any honey. It's only going to be ginger infused kombucha. Hubby and I are heading to Ontario Place. We're going to the Cinesphere to watch Superpower Dogs 3D. It is so hot right now and it's a little bit farther than we thought it would be. So we're so hot and sweaty, tired, dehydrated. The film's pretty short though, so we'll be able to sit in AC for a little bit. It is a beautiful day, even though it's sweltering. We're back home now, and the movie was really cute. The IMAX 3D was really good quality, and yeah, it was just like a really short and sweet film. Just sauteing some onions. Hubby is down at the communal barbecue. He's making some steak and some sausages. That's going to be our dinner tonight. I did bottle up half of the kombucha, and it's starting to fizz already. You can see all of the air bubbles and the carbonation happening, so that is very, very exciting. Okay, I just had to straighten you guys out a bit because it was really wonky. I made one additional batch of kombucha. Now I am going to take Gus out. I'm basically going to pour him through this cheesecloth. Of course, I'm going to take the SCOBY out and I'll just put it in this bowl. Okay. So this piece on top here, the lighter piece that's the shape of the top of the jar, is the new SCOBY that grew, the baby that grew over the 7 days. So I'm gonna reserve half a cup of this liquid for my next batch. Now I'm gonna pour this liquid through the cheesecloth. This basically strains out some of the excess yeast. Actually, it smells really good. It smells kind of like apple cider. All right, so this is kind of like the perfect amount. So you're supposed to leave about 1 inch at the top. I'm gonna seal this up. Let it sit for 3 days, and then I'm gonna refrigerate it, and then I'm gonna drink a bunch of it. Baby SCOBY. All the ginger stuck to it. Add it to my hotel. Warm though, so. It's fizzy. Slightly. Super slight. It's good. Is it? I really taste the ginger. It's yummy. Do you like it?
Yeah. It's not gross after all.
It is Wednesday today. I am drinking some kombucha. I actually just got it out of the fridge. Still smells good. Still smells like kombucha. This is really good. I'm very pleased and impressed with myself that I was able to make this. It's got a little more bite than the store-bought ones, which I like. But I probably didn't put enough ginger in it because I don't taste the ginger at all. I have a list of stuff that I want to talk to you guys about before I finish off this vlog. So let me gather up my little show and tell supplies and I will be right back because I forgot to do that. All right, first things first. The staycation has been pretty much mapped out. I'm doing it a little bit differently from our regular vacations because we're going to be in town and the list is very flexible. So what I've done is I've just taken this calendar, this recycling calendar, and the week that we are going to be doing our staycation, I've kind of penciled in a rough idea of what we want to do on any given date. Some of these things are, of course, weather dependent because I have some farmers markets in here. So if it pours rain one day, I probably won't want to do the things that require a lot of walking outside. But hubby and I had so many ideas of things that we wanted to do, mostly food related things. We have some breweries on our list. We have some new eateries and restaurants that we want to try. Things of that nature. And if it rains, there are a few films that we could go watch. So the week hasn't been set in stone, but I know for sure we're gonna have enough to do during that time. And of course, if we decide to do some of these things sooner, in other words, before that week in August that we're doing our staycation, then I'll just slot in something else. So for example, the Cinesphere might have been something that we did during the vacation, but because we went last weekend, I've no longer slotted that in during that week in August. We also tried this poutine place that I probably would have put into the staycation called Nom 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 Poutine. I don't really have a favorite poutine place in Toronto. I feel like the poutine we have in the city is pretty mediocre and there isn't really one specific place that I gravitate towards. I would say that Nom 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 has changed that for me because the poutine was so enjoyable. It's basically a stand that's outside, similar to a food truck, but it's stationary. I guess they're like shipping containers almost. Maybe they are shipping containers. I just got the basic poutine. Hubby got the basic but with extra cheese curds. The fries were good, the gravy was amazing, the cheese curds were plentiful, and they were very squeaky. We placed our order and then we sat outside and we enjoyed the poutine and it was delicious. Maybe I'll ask hubby if he wants to go again tonight. I was planning on making Instant Pot turkey stroganoff tonight, but I could make that tomorrow and we could go for poutine instead tonight. Or maybe he'll want to go for juicy dumpling. He's off a little bit earlier today, so when he's off early, we like to take advantage and maybe go for happy hour or go out for food. Yesterday, I went out with a friend. I'll talk more about that later, but we went for bubble tea afterwards, and when I got home, hubby was like, "Do you want to go for bubble tea?" And I was like, "I just had it." So I don't know, I think he felt kind of sad. So maybe we could go for bubble tea after poutine like we did last time, but I just wanted to mention that poutine place was fantastic and I've been thinking about it a lot since we had it that time. Speaking of happy hour, hubby and I finally tried Cactus Club. One of my friends and former colleagues loves that place and she recommended it a few times and also gave me tips of like what to order. Recently, when I was at afternoon tea with my girlfriend, she mentioned that one of her colleagues also loves Cactus Club. That's a couple of people now who are really into food who have mentioned Cactus Club. So hubby and I decided to try the happy hour over the weekend and it was very busy for a Sunday. We really enjoyed it. They have really great cocktails, especially their Bellini, which is like this kind of like frozen slushy Bellini that's very reminiscent of the Milestones one, if you guys liked the Milestones Bellini. It was a hot day, we were on the rooftop, so it really hit the spot. And the food, we were very pleasantly surprised. So we shared a bunch of stuff. We had the truffle fries. We also had the crispy chicken sandwiches. We had the ravioli, which was amazing, kind of pricey. They're about like $4 to $5 per piece. And we also had the tuna poke bowl, which was very, very good. I would get all of the things again, but especially the tuna poke bowl, I thought was pretty good value. I mean, it was $17, but there was a lot of food, and you could easily just order that and a drink and have a really nice happy hour. I've been such a fan of happy hour lately, similar to how I was really into beauty boxes before and then designer bags, and I had like all these like mini obsessions in the past. Right now, I am really into happy hour and finding value in the city. So basically like fun things to do, good food, etc. that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Also at afternoon tea, my friend recommended that hubby and I watch the HBO Chernobyl series. We ended up watching it, binge watching it over the weekend, and it was fantastic. If you guys haven't watched it, this is basically a docudrama that is a very close representation of what actually happened at Chernobyl. Of course, there's a little bit of dramatic license, but when I was doing research into Chernobyl again, I discovered that the HBO show actually has a companion podcast. There's basically one podcast episode per HBO series episode, so it's a mini series with 5 episodes in the HBO series and 5 corresponding episodes or companion episodes of the podcast. The podcast talks a little bit about the behind the scenes of making the series, decisions that were made in the series, what part of the series was based in fact versus the aspects of the series that were made up or dramatized. I'm a huge fan of documentaries, and I also really like docudramas, but oftentimes I don't know what's real in a docudrama and what is made up. So I tend to do a lot of research after the fact, and the Chernobyl podcast was perfect because it basically answered all of the questions that I would have had about the show. So I wish that all docudramas would have a companion podcast attached to it. The last thing I'm going to talk about in this vlog is what I ended up doing yesterday with my girlfriends. My friend had told me about this oil infusion workshop, a free workshop, and we decided both to sign up for it. The workshop was being held at Onsite Gallery, which is a OCAD gallery that features kind of like a rotating exhibit. Right now the exhibit features one artist, and he basically photographs flowers, but then he kind of like modifies the photographs a little bit digitally. The workshop that we signed up for was about flowers and their healing properties. First, there was a talk about several different flowers, their healing properties, how they've been used over the years historically, and how they're used now. And then there was a hands-on workshop where my friend and I were able to create our own infusions. So the person running the workshop, Kat, she had brought in all of these dried flowers, a bunch of different ones that you could blend together, and each flower of course has its own property, and I don't remember them offhand. But I asked for a combination that would be good for inflammation. This infused oil also happens to be good for, I think it's pain and bruising as well. What we had to do was fill this little mason jar with dried flowers. Based on her recommendation, I put in chamomile, lavender, arnica, and another flower that I don't remember offhand, so I'll put it somewhere on the screen. Pack in all the dried flowers into the mason jar, and then you very slowly pour the oil over top, pausing every once in a while just to let the oil like settle into all the nooks and crannies and crevices and have the flowers absorb the oil. We used rice bran oil, but you can also use virgin olive oil, coconut oil. Once you're done, you just put the lid on and you store it in a cool, dark place for 6 weeks. Then you are supposed to separate the oil from the flowers just through a cheesecloth. The oil after that is good for 3 months. You can apply it topically just by itself, or you can add it to beeswax, but you'd have to heat the beeswax to have the oil and beeswax combine, and that makes a balm. Or you can add a bit of oil to your moisturizer and apply it topically that way. So I was so fascinated by all of the things I learned in the workshop. That is going to be it for this vlog. Hopefully I'll be able to get it out pretty soon. In August, I am planning to vlog every single day, so I'll be doing a vlogist of some sorts, but I just won't be posting daily videos. I'll probably batch them into 1 or 2 videos per week. And of course, for the staycation, I'll be vlogging extensively that week. Thank you again for watching. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye!